Hey, welcome to the Xbox Podcast. If you're new or returning listener, welcome. This is the only podcast you get straight from Xbox where we recap the most important news of the week. Trust me, it is. We drop interviews with industry insiders you won't find anywhere else. We drop new episodes every Friday on YouTube, on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, all the great places. So if you like what you're hearing or seeing, subscribe. Jeff, was that better?
Larry, is this episode 1 of the Xbox Podcast? Because this is the first time it's actually started off properly in 600 episodes. I'm very proud of you.
You did a nice job.
Episodes, I see. Okay. Well, anyway, welcome, guys. I'm your host, Larry Herb, Xbox's Major Nelson. Over there, right there is Rebecca. Over on your right, as you're looking at the screen, and on your left is Jeff. Hey, guys.
He's doing it. He's doing the thing.
What? I'm just saying.
Not the let me hit a button and something happens and here's people. This is good. This is growth.
We're it's nothing. We can take this show only up here. But for those of you who don't know, as I said, I've been working on the Xbox team since 2003. Rebecca's been working on Minecraft for a few years now, right, Rebecca?
Yeah, but I've actually been on Xbox for just under 9 years now, too. So
9 years. Jeff's been here. Jeff's been here almost how long? Almost 10 years.
Almost 8. I'm the junior member of the show.
and here's the most important thing: if you really want to know, if Jeff works on what this hot new thing called influencers. So if you're an influencer and you want to reach out to Jeff, that's how you find him right there.
Rebecca does too. In fact, we're basically here to contain you and you're the influencer, Larry.
Yeah. Why do you think we're here? Yeah.
Not even close. It's anyway, but it's great to see you guys again this week. It's Rebecca's in New York. Jeff and I are out here in the Seattle area. How is, by the way, we talked a little bit about it off the air, Rebecca. How is second summer in New York? That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice. I went back to Seattle a few weeks ago and it was nice and chilly. Had to bust out a jacket, but it's been really warm in New York, which is nice. Kind of getting the last of our outdoorsy stuff in before hibernating for the rest of the winter. But It's okay. There's a lot of good games coming out, games and movies.
There absolutely is, right, Jeff?
Yeah, it's cold as heck. I barely leaving the house and it's fine because I've got a treadmill, so I play games on the treadmill. Games
really
where you don't have to use the camera control, because I have fallen off the treadmill playing games that sort of throw with your balance. But if you're playing like a 2D RPG, still playing Octopath Traveler, perfect treadmill game.
Where's the treadmill? I've been to your house. I don't remember what a treadmill was. Is it out
I got like a really slim one that fits under the sofa, like right over here, and I can sort of pull it out and play games.
Rebecca, I don't know about you, but I know that myself, as well as everybody else, would like Jeff to do the entire show next week on the treadmill.
I think that would be great.
Do you really think that rattles me in the slightest? Hell yeah, we're definitely doing
Just set up the mic. Yeah,
let's do it. Anyway, we've got a lot of gameplay this week. Rebecca, we talked to you. You started last week, so Jeff, we'll start with you this week. What are you playing?
Still playing Far Cry, still playing Octopath Traveler, as I mentioned, but I'm playing with you. So go back to the 3-shot, Larry. Yeah. We're playing Back 4 Blood. This 3 of us. This is not the dream team right here. This is the at least we tried team, and we did.
Should we show a little bit? These are some of the clips that Rebecca's POV point of view captured last night, and we played Back 4 Blood. We have an interview coming up later on. Back 4 Blood's now on Game Pass, and this is us playing a little bit last night. I got the nice little rifle there, and we had quite the time, didn't we?
It was pretty good. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Go on.
Yeah, I felt like we were doing so well when we were in recruit mode, perhaps. But then toward the end, we had that like death fog and it was impossible for us to get past. But I think it was good. Like we did the tutorial, figured out the different controls, figured out how to heal each other, how to share ammo. And then,
there's a lot of this.
Yeah, I remember Larry distinctly calling for help right around this point. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can. Yeah,
that's exactly.
That was nice.
This was towards the. It was a lot of fun. If you've played, you're going to hear more about it later on in the show. But if you played Left 4 Dead, it's.
Same
team that did that. So it was a lot of fun last night. And yes, Jeff.
I think we each took away lessons from our time playing here together on Back for Blood. I would love to hear from each of you, like your biggest teamwork takeaway.
I think for me, it was you just constantly keep using the left bumper to mark health, mark ammo. Make sure you can, and you'll hear about this with Jeff in the interview. Drop your ammo because you can hold all this ammo, but your weapon, the two weapons that you have, only take one kind each. So I may have a rifle and a pistol, and if I've got a bunch of shotgun ammo, then I can go over to my inventory and pull the right trigger and drop everything for Rebecca or Jeff. So that's the key, is to keep marking things and keep an eye on what ammo you have, and if you need to mule any ammo for any of your squad mates.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know. I feel like I ended up being kind of like the team healer toward the end of it. So at the beginning when we all kind of get the option to like shop for things using the copper that we pick up, I tended to buy a lot of the like health packs and then go around like healing folks, which was fitting because I picked the mom character. But aside from that, just, I think that we maybe in the our first run through, we were kind of scattered. We talked about how Larry tends to run off on his own. I think he did a pretty good job last night of sticking with the team, though. But I think that, our fourth player, too, she kind of ran off a few times. But once we kind of stuck together, it was a lot easier to, like, defend each other. And, if you see, I feel like the what are they called? The ridden, they would pop out from pretty random places. And so it was good to stick together so that you can actually help defend each other, although you can see it doesn't work so great here. And someone knocks me down by friendly fire.
Jeffrey.
I think we had it on a hard level. I had one big takeaway. Stop shooting the damn birds. That's what kept happening. There are like sort of flocks of crows just sort of roosting in different places. And if you leave them alone, it's fine. But if you shoot them or you bundle into them, they fly off and it calls in a huge horde of zombies that is completely avoidable. We did it every time.
Yeah.
Every time we disturbed the birds, and we made it very hard for ourselves.
If you remember Left 4 Dead, there was the concept of the witch, and you scared the witch, she screamed, and there was a couple of mechanisms, and it's kind of a similar situation. And again, of the three of us, I know Jeff, after we played last night, you went on and played with another group and got a little bit further than we did. But as far as we went, we've only saw the birds was the only mechanism that triggered the horde. Is that accurate?
There's also alarmed doors, which we probably also just like ran right through and set off the alarms.
Right. Oh yeah, alarms, yeah.
We did it all. If you could stumble into it, we stepped on as many rakes as they placed onto the battlefield. So there was so after we quit playing, because we kind of hit a wall a little bit in Act 1. And I ended up getting an invite. I ended up playing with Andrea Renee and Rihanna and her fiance, Danny Pena Godfrey. And we just were flying. We just blew right past it. In fact, after we get past Act 1, Part 4, it shows the title. Like, we didn't even get to the part where they showed the title and say, this is what you're playing.
Don't rub it in.
We were in the prologue. Yeah. And after that, you can start from that point. You don't have to do the beginning. It gives you a checkpoint where you can start from there every time. So I am convinced
you were playing
we are not that
mode,
inept.
and we were playing it on a little bit more challenging. So
I'm pretty sure. I think we were not. You should start this game on recruit mode. I think we were playing on veteran or something like that. And we are not veterans. We are not hardened. Like, despite all of our FPS, history, we were just not. We were not there.
We were ill prepared, weren't we?
Yeah. I would love to play again with you all. Because I feel like from a teammate perspective, we were sharing, we were caring. Thank you, Rebecca. You were the healer because you were the last one standing. Like, you were like de facto, we were all dead and you had no choice but to heal. So thank you. But I feel like let's try it again and let's like triple check we're on recruit mode. And then we can go a little further because there's some really cool set pieces. One on a ship, one on a church that we didn't even get to that are really fun. I would love to take another run at this.
Yeah, we don't want to talk
Thanks.
too much more about it because Jeff's got an interview with the executive producer from Turtle Rock later on in the show, and you're going to hear all about this, about building your deck. She's going to talk a little bit about, there's an interesting term she'll bring up in the interview that she talks about the director. And the director is, for those of you, again, from Left 4 Dead, remember, it's the game. It's the game trying to randomly do different things. Like I remember when we were playing last night, the director had put a flock of birds in an area that we kind of had to sneak by, and we didn't do that well, as Jeff pointed out. But with when we died, we came back, there were no birds there. They were elsewhere. So the director is kind of this amorphous thing that randomizes elements in the game. There you go. That's just want to explain that, Jeff. You'll hear about that. Anyway, what else? Actually, so we talked about what you're playing. Rebecca, what are you playing?
I haven't been playing much else. I started The Veil this morning. I actually did an interview earlier today with Dave and Lucas from Falling Squirrel, the team that put behind the game. So for those who don't know, Thursday, October 14th is actually World Sight Day. Right. And so The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, is a game designed for both low vision and also just able-sighted gamers, and it's an audio experience. So, put a headset on, try it out. It's pretty cool, but you can learn more about it in the interview.
Depending upon how you're listening to the show, just like this, it's an audio experience.
Yeah. But they were cool guys. It's good to talk to them.
Jeff seems so mildly amused by my comment.
No, I keep thinking this show needs a director. That's what I just kept thinking. Right. But the Veil... I've been really wanting to try it. I've had it sort of faved on my or pinned onto my dash for some time, and I just need to find the time. So I think that your interview will push me over, and we'll play it because the concept's really, really interesting. And I think audio games have been around. I don't know that you've really seen them in the console space until The Veil.
Yeah, so we'll have to check that out. We'll do that interview later on. As far as what I'm playing, we talked about Back 4 Blood. Jeff and I have jumped in a little bit of Far Cry 6 and tried to get each other a tank or a helicopter. It's just silly fun with co-op. That's the only way I can describe it. One that I am playing and it's in Game Pass, is Procession of Cavalry. Have you seen this game? It's the one with the medieval paintings and kind of medieval music, this minstrel music and whatnot. It's essentially like a point and click game, but it's very funny. And that's all. I don't want to give too much about it, and it gives up the achievements pretty well. Check it out. It's a relaxing game. It's essentially a point and click. You got to use your controller to move the
point and click minstrel music game.
With that whole genre
based in
the
Renaissance with some religious overtones. So it's high concept.
It's up there with Pillars of Eternity. It's really not. Or Pillars of the Earth was actually another middle-aged. Anyway. Not middle-aged. Anyway, it kind of a point and click. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
But yeah, this has been out on PC for about a year and a half, but it's now on console. It's in Game Pass, and it's very relaxing. I mean, you got to figure things out, and some of the writing is rather, as they say in the UK, cheeky. So enjoy that.
Oh, look at us appealing to other locales.
Well, this show does have international reach. I think I've shared with you some of the stats before. I think we're like the number 10 in Norway for quite some time. So hello, Norway.
What do we do to appeal to the Norwegian audience? I actually live in a neighborhood that has Norwegian heritage. We have our Leif Erikson Day is actually coming up here soon. So
what are you
shout out to our Norway audience.
I don't know what you do to celebrate that.
We have a statue over by the Joanne Fabrics.
Like you do.
I mean,
yeah.
I will. I think we're doing a whole thing. We're actually, it's a big Scandinavian neighborhood. We have Iceland. We have an Iceland festival coming up as well.
Yeah, it's very, very. Jeff lives in Seattle, and like I say, Rebecca lives in New York, which is the great melting pot. So talk about everything over there, right?
Yeah, being a little bit spoiled with Swedish goodies coming from the Minecraft studio, though, I think there is either some kind of Swedish holiday where we had a couple folks who would bring in the Swedish, there's a princess cake. It's got I think it has strawberry filling, and it's really light and fluffy. And then there'd be a lot of blue and yellow flags. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming out of Scandinavia, but yeah, I know there's a lot of different like Scandinavian neighborhoods in Seattle in particular.
You know what I'm going to say now, Rebecca.
Go on.
There's a
Yeah.
dad joke that you told me that this reminded me of.
Yeah.
Can you tell it? Can you
yeah.
share it?
Yeah, Jeff, do you want to share it or do you want me to?
This was you. I can't take credit for
We're
your
going
joke.
full screen on you. It's all yours.
Okay. It was, why does the Norwegian Navy put barcodes on their ships?
Gee, I don't know, Rebecca. Why does Norwegian
so they
Navy
can so they can Scandinavian. But it's a good one. I like that one.
Scandinavian. That's the only one of your dad jokes I can reliably remember. I think I said it was the Danish Navy when I said it. But,
it works for any of the Scandinavian countries. It's fine.
Fair point. So
now I'm gonna have to double check. Is Norway technically Scandinavian? And I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I thought it was Norway, Sweden, Finland,
Denmark,
and then maybe Iceland.
All right, now I'm on a mission.
You know what? No one
to not offend our Scandinavian audience moments after discovering that they exist.
All right. Well, we're gonna let you guys, take it. We're gonna go full screen on me so I can get you guys introduced. We've got a couple of great interviews that we talked about just at the beginning of the show. We're gonna hear about all those. So just listen. We got a bunch going on. We got 2 great interviews this week from Rebecca and Jeff. Here we go.
October 14th is World Sight Day, which calls attention to the challenges of those facing visual impairments, one of which can typically be gaming. So we thought that this would be a good time to bring on the folks from Flying Squirrel to tell us about The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, which is a game designed for both low vision and sighted players. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca, for having us. Thanks.
Do you mind just each telling us a little bit about yourselves and your work with Flying Squirrel?
Yeah, sure. It's actually Falling Squirrel, but it's a common misnomer. That's okay. I was going to let it go, but I thought, we'll let people know it there. So I'm the creator of Falling Squirrel, the owner of the company, and I'm also the game director on our first game, The Veil, Shadow of the Crown. It's an all audio game, primarily made for the visually impaired community. And Lukáš, do you want to tell us a little bit
sure.
What you did?
Well, my name is Lukáš Hosnedl, or you can just say Lukas. Lukáš. I'm from the Czech Republic. I was born totally blind, and when I actually first started working on the game, I reached out to the devs to Falling Squirrel myself. We had no previous contact or experience with each other. I initially thought I would just help test the game, because I wanted to do as much as I could to help out, because I had a lot of feedback and I thought it would be worth it. But the collaboration went so well, if I can say so myself, that Dave let me say or talk about much more than I originally thought, and I dare say I helped in the end to kind of shape the game, not just talk about bugs or the usual user testing, but I have quite a footprint in the game myself as well. In the end,
for sure.
That's awesome. So Dave, can you tell us a little bit? I mean, in a world of ray tracing and next gen visuals, what inspired you to create a game that leans away from a visual experience?
Initially there was a desire for me to explore bigger stories than I could probably afford to tell. Being an indie developer, having worked in AAA in the past, how was I going to do this on my own? I thought I'd seen or heard of games like audio-based games, which kind of played to some of the strengths I carry with me in narrative design and directing voiceover. And very quickly, I realized that not only was this a novel idea, at least for most sighted players, that there was a novelty to it. There was also a tremendous amount of intimacy in having sight visuals being pulled away and totally relying on sound. The world you inhabit becomes much closer, much more intimate, and you're relying on little details in the world. So it actually, to me, was a completely different focus when it came to gameplay. And then I also realized there was an added benefit that this game was also going to be accessible to a community that did not have a lot of accessible content.
Yeah, that's awesome. I only started playing with a gaming headset in the last like five years, but it's pretty cool, like having to listen for those different clues and then following the game in that direction. How's the reception been within the community? Like, have you heard from any gamers who are visually impaired or low vision?
Actually, Lucas, we haven't talked too much about this. Was there any specific things you've heard from the community? It's been very positive from my angle, anyhow.
Mm-hmm. I've actually stopped being engaged in the community as much as I used to be before, because I have a lot of other things, other projects, and not too much free time. But I've started running a blog in Czech though. It does have an English name. It's called 4 Cents Gaming, but it's written just in Czech. And I've covered the game there. I've written articles about it. I've actually finished shooting a complete Let's Play in Czech like 2 days ago. It's not uploaded yet, but
nice.
That's actually quite a hard job because there are no subtitles, and I have to interpret everything simultaneously as the characters speak. But what I'm trying to say is that I have no idea about international reception as much as I used to once upon a time. But in the Czech Republic, their reception seems to be not the reception. There have not been too many players from the Czech Republic yet because they're waiting to see the Let's Play first to have an idea about the story because the game is so story focused. But they're very, very much interested. It's kind of a novel to them as well, because one barrier to gaming for the blind is lack of content, as Dave said, and the other barrier, if you're not a native English speaker or don't come from an English speaking country, is the lack of games to play in your language. So they're glad for having at least a translation or a Let's Play, interpreted Let's Play.
That brings up one of the biggest comments I get from the blind community or requests is this is a game that's in English, translated only in English right now. And it's probably something that I should consider in that the reception across the board in the English-speaking countries has been incredibly positive within the blind community and as a novel game for sighted people as well. And the idea that once you have something that's introduced that's potentially relatively rare, it becomes even more interesting in other parts of the world. So the fact that this is fully blind accessible is exciting, and then everybody wants to be able to play it in their language. So it's the most common request I get, and it's a matter of expense ultimately for me, and it's hopefully something I can remedy in the future.
Well, you mentioned you have a background in narrative design. I'm curious, how come you chose the medieval setting and following this story in particular?
Yeah, initially it's there's two main aspects. One is I wanted something relatively familiar to base it on. I didn't want to pick a setting that was too unusual for a video game. So I actually picked a fairly trope-filled place to start, mainly because I wanted to have nice, comparable, conventional aspects of gameplay that I could then translate into sound. So I wanted a familiar place to start. And the other aspect of the medieval setting was the soundscape itself was perfect for all audio combat anyway. If I'd set this in let's say a setting where people were wearing or they were like ninjas with cloth or something, there would be you wouldn't be making as much sound. Where it's male warriors with plate mail and that sort of thing. The starting point at least could be a very obvious soundscape starting point, and it also warranted the combat itself being close quarters and noisy. Obviously, medieval combat would be the height of noisy close quarter combat. You get less out of range combat. Even though we do have some range combat, it wasn't an obvious thing, at least for me, to have people running around with revolvers in a Western scenario or something like that.
It's very cool. That makes a lot of sense. So I know, Lucas, you mentioned you have your blog and the Let's Play coming out. I'm curious what's next for Falling Squirrel. Any other projects you can talk about or updates to the game?
I think this is more of a question for Dave, actually, because they have And there.
Well,
I would, for
it
me
is a question
personally,
for me,
I can say no
it
plans
does
have been
involve you. Go ahead.
finalized yet. Like, yeah. I'm
Yeah, it's
sorry.
okay.
I
Lucas,
don't know of any plans yet.
Lucas and I just talked about this, so he's careful not to like give away any like company secrets. But no, we have talked about a collaboration in the future where we start looking at. I mean, the obvious places to go would be something that continues this storyline with the main character, picking up on things that people liked about the narrative of the game. But I think that probably the most interested we get from the visually impaired community is to expand on combat. And to have an experience that actually, I would love to pick up on narrative, but I think in the meantime, maybe this summer, is expand combat in a way that we give an experience that has more replayability. That was one probably short-sighted move on my point. Is as much as I'm comfortable working in narrative, and I wanted it to be a game that had a very strong appeal as a first or as a single playthrough narrative experience. The demand from the blind community, having so little content, was how can I replay this many times? And it's just not the type of game that you would replay more than probably twice. And so creating some sort of arena fighter for medieval all audio combat is probably the next step, and then potentially looking at other genres we could bring this to. But I just recently spoke to Lucas about being a partner in researching and figuring out what to do next. But certainly where the community would lead me is to more replayable material for them.
Yeah, right. And for myself, I can definitely say I'm eager to keep working with Falling Squirrel. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not stopping anything. And I do believe that if I become a part of the project, of the new project since the beginning, and not just only join later, we can do a lot in terms of design to come up with the ways to not only to make even like ranged combat or free roaming combat not only accessible but also highly enjoyable. And because the Veil is really intuitive, you just pick up the game, you instantly know how to follow the sound cues. You don't need to learn a lot of fancy keystrokes. And I am actually convinced this can be done in the same intuitive way even for the combat with more freedom of movement.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, where can people go if they want to follow along for updates or hear about what's to come from Falling Squirrel?
Yeah, well, obviously the game is available on the Xbox One and on PC as well. But our website's probably the best place to go. It has the links to all the things that we care about. And I'd say Twitter is probably our most active social media platform right now. So Falling Squirrel, that's our Twitter handle, and fallingsquirrel.com is our website.
Got it. Not Flying Squirrel, right?
not Flying Squirrel, right? That was the only point where it mattered. It was right at the end here. I could have corrected you then. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like you said, The Veil is out now on Xbox One and Windows PC. So check it out and let us know what you think. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Left 4 Dead and its sequel carved out indelible co-op horror memories from the Xbox 360 era for so many of us. A feeling of barely holding it together as an unending torrent of zombies threatens to, and often does, overwhelm your squad of friends it's back in form of Back 4 Blood, a first-person co-op zombie shooter from the creators of the Left 4 Dead franchise, and it's now available with Xbox Game Pass on Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Xbox One. And to talk all about it, I'm very proud to welcome Leanne Papp, executive producer of Back 4 Blood. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So I stayed up very late last night playing a number of games. We've just talked about it on the show. I'm just curious, how's the reception? The game has been out for now a week. A lot of people get to play it via Xbox Game Pass, so I'm sure you're hearing a ton. How's it been going?
I think it's been going really well, which is really exciting because, of course, one of the scariest things about making games is hitting that launch and actually sharing it with everybody else. But I think we are feeling, pretty good about it because one of our big focuses at Turtle Rock in particular is to ensure that we play test the game internally and we have a lot of fun with it. Because if we're not having fun, we know that the rest of the world, the public, the community isn't going to have fun either. So, we're keeping a very close eye on feedback, and it sounds like people are having a lot of fun, which is just really thrilling. And we're seeing the criticism as well and getting ready to react to it, make changes towards that. But, overall, it feels amazing.
Awesome. So I want to ask a little bit of advice. We played a couple of games yesterday. Some of them we did really well. Some of them we didn't do as well. What's the hallmark of a good team? Like, what do good teams do well in Back 4 Blood?
So I'll start with the obvious piece, which is communication. I think, if you want to coordinate a group of people, you have to have really solid communications. You have to be calling out targets. You have to be letting people know what it is that you're doing. Wait until everybody indicates they're ready before you start something that initiates a horde. So that's the obvious stuff. I think the not so obvious thing is coordinating your decks. In a way, you don't have to really assume a role like most games, but I actually find that you kind of end up filling certain archetypes with the decks that you create. Like, I personally love playing a support style role. So I'll go for cards that increase healing, that make it so that when I heal a teammate, I also get healing. And so I always tell people, give me your med kits, let me do the healing so that you don't have to. So getting each person to fulfill a role a little bit like that is going to help out a lot. So you kind of have to do that coordination even leading into getting into gameplay. And as you earn and unlock more cards, create different decks that kind of satisfy those different things. And then pay attention to those corruption cards. Before you're jumping into gameplay, you're going to be told what the director's going to throw at you. And there are little things that you can do to help counter those things. So yeah, those are kind of three big pieces I would say will help a lot.
Yeah, you've touched on a few things here. You mentioned calling things out in communication. And so I just want to call it, you hit the left bumper and it gives you sort of a context sensitive,
Yes.
There's a first aid, box here in this room, or there's, one of the giant zombies that's or ridden that's going to be coming at you. Please focus your fire in that direction.
Exactly
I think
that.
everything else we probably did wrong in terms of especially starting one of those major events. I think there was sort of turning on a grinder or something like that before everyone's ready and it's set up. Yeah, I'll be thinking about that for the near future. Let's dive into the cards, though. I think that's I think that's where there's like a tremendous amount of depth and things that you can do. You start off with the starter deck. I would love to know, like, what are things that people should just keep in mind in general? Like, what's like, especially when you're first starting and you can choose from those first 5 cards. Like, what's like, in terms of prioritizing your cards, like, what should you really have at the top, do you think?
I think it'll depend on a little bit your play style and maybe looking at the kinds of issues that you tend to run into. So let's say that you feel that you run out of ammo a lot. Well, maybe you want to focus your cards on the things that boost how much ammo you get. Or maybe you find that reloading is really tedious. Well, there are things that increase your reload speeds. A very big pro tip that is not super obvious to everyone is that the order that the cards are in your deck is important. That is the order in which they're going to be played to you. You're also guaranteed to get that first card in your deck. So if you realize that, let's say there's a card that changes your bash into a knife stab, let's say you consider that a must-have, pop it to the top of your deck and you're guaranteed to always get it. But I 100% agree with you. One of the things that excites me the most is about the untapped potential of the card system. And we're really excited to see what kind of decks people build. I am confident the community is going to break some stuff, is going to highlight some problems that we want to address, but it's looking at the kind of problems that you're having and what you want to solve. Now, something you are going to find is there are cards that disable things, so they make it a little bit more challenging. So we had a couple people, it's not super well communicated, we want to fix this, but they were like, suddenly I can't ADS anymore, I can't aim down sights, and that's really confusing. And it was because they went for one of the cards that has a massive perk. I think it was like plus 75% ammo. But the downside was disabling aim down sight. So there are some trade-offs in there. We don't want to make everything super obvious as to what it is that you're supposed to do.
I feel like that card would pair very well with the shotgun.
Oh,
User in that
absolutely.
case.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know
Exactly
that I
that.
ADS'd even once after a night of that. Wouldn't miss it. So, a couple things. First of all, that card that lets you turn your melee into a knife shot, which lets you one hit most sort of grunt ridden. Highly recommend. That is like my number one card used. But then again,
Definitely.
it's only a couple nights in. Yeah. So we talked about teams, but I think with back for appearing in Game Pass, there's going to be people that might not have the luxury of necessarily a lot of friends. They might just be jumping in and coming in solo. So what do you recommend for solo players, and how to find a good time in a game that does rely so much on great teamwork and collaboration?
I think if you're not comfortable using voice, which not everybody is, definitely utilizing that ping system that you mentioned is going to help out a lot. If you do that, you'll actually find that people can pay attention to it and know a little bit of what you're talking about. Something that is an easy way to endear yourself to your team members is you can actually drop ammo. You can also drop copper. So if you pop open your inventory, you're able to click it and share that. So some people might be like, hey, suddenly you're my BFF because you're a source of rifle ammo and I always need it. And then you can also consider it with the decks that you're using. So a lot of the decks have cards that benefit the entire team. And so that's something I actually really love about the game, because I think it keeps it approachable for people who haven't been playing a whole lot. They can jump in and be fairly close in terms of footing with the people who do have a lot of cards unlocked. So I would pop in, make sure you play that first mission. You want to make sure that you get used to what the game is, understand how the cards are, and then you could quick play, because you'll get matched into matches pretty quickly where you can jump in and you can help out a team that maybe had a bot there and they want to get some assistance. But just jump in and have fun.
Yeah, and I think with the game available on Game Pass, like you said, that quick play is going to be real quick. It's going to be very easy, maybe, to talk someone else into trying a game out. Because I feel like in the old days,
about Game Pass for sure.
Yeah,
when we found out about the deal, I was like, oh, maybe people will find a new favorite game that they wouldn't have assumed. Because I know a lot of people who are like, you know what, zombie shooters aren't for me. And I'm like, well, have you tried it? Because now suddenly there's no barrier. I mean, there's a download. But if you can do the download, jump in, check it out, and maybe you found your new favorite game for the year.
Yeah. I think that's right on. You don't all have to align on, is this the game we're buying together? So anyway,
exactly.
I think people, we were playing last night, and it's pretty, especially acts 1, 2, and 3, very lengthy experience. There's a fourth act which I haven't gotten to yet, so I can't speak too much to it.
No
spoilers.
spoilers.
There's one circle there, and I think that's going to be it's very intimidating, whatever that's going to end up being. But I'm curious, just like I'm sure people are going to figure it out. They're going to get their great deck, and they're going to be able to run through it. How do you see the game being sort of supported in the long? What's the long game here to keep people coming back and keep making those runs over time?
So we do have our annual pass where we are planning on adding additional content. We're not going into too much detail about what that content is, but I do think there are a lot of things that feel very natural to the game. I mentioned earlier that the card system is a massive fountain of untapped potential, and I think that's somewhere where we have lots of plans for new kinds of cards that we could be adding, both for players as well as corruption, because you want to make sure that the director stays interesting as well. And so that's one area in particular that we definitely want to add a lot to. But I think what we're looking for is people trying those different decks, playing through the campaigns, and then increasing the difficulty, right? You want to jump in, try it out at Recruit first, get through it. And, you might die a lot, and that's okay, because part of the intention is that we want you to be able to earn those supply points, jump into the supply plans, buy more cards to make your deck better, and then keep trying and push. And then once you've mastered that one difficulty, pop into the other difficulty and, work through that. And, that's kind of the challenge, and the fun is like finally overcoming that one mission that was really, really beating you. So that's what we're looking for. And I feel that like with the different corruption cards and the fact that you can try different decks, that replayability comes very naturally. We even found internally, there were a lot of people who are like, I wonder if I can get through this whole mission with just melee. So do I stack up a bunch of stamina so that I can just like run through and I'm healing myself and I'm moving quickly and I'm just thrashing things down? And then other people might be like, well, I want to do just shotguns. And so you can kind of create little games for yourself and your friends where you create a challenge and jump into it.
By the way, almost all the things that you've mentioned in the last few minutes, there's an achievement attached to it. You give some money to someone, to help them buy one of those bigger sort of team-wide upgrades. Highly recommend, by the way. There's an achievement for it. You give someone some ammo, there's an achievement for it. You get 50 melees in a round, there's an achievement for it. You don't kill any Ridden in a round, and then there's an achievement for it. I had a lot of fun. There's I'll talk about it in the rest of the shows. One for going down a ladder early on in the first round. I was like, wait, what? My daughter ended up unlocking that one.
That actually is in one of our past tests, our closed alpha. We actually had this bug where if you were going down the ladder, it killed you. That was not intentional. And so it was a very deadly ladder. And this is a little bit of a callback to that and anybody that experienced it and noticed it. And if you actually look around that ladder, there's a little bit of graffiti there too that's a callback to it.
I was wondering, there had to be a story there. So thanks for
right? Like, why do you guys
that.
care so much about a ladder? That's why.
So the last thing I want to talk about is if, PvE is the core of Back 4 Blood, but there is a competitive multiplayer mode, which is a lot different than, a lot else of what's out there. So can you just talk about this PvP mode?
Yeah, absolutely. When we were developing the PvP, we went through quite a few different ideas. And what we were trying to do was make a mode that was fun for people to jump in. And I stole this term from someone else in the game industry, and I like using it a lot because I think it needs to be a thing. We wanted something that was more snackable. We wanted you to be able to like jump in, have some fun, and then take a break. Because I find that there's a lot of competitive PvP out there where you're signing up for 45 minutes to an hour of gameplay and like your hands are sweating and it's very stressful and you're kind of like, I was supposed to have fun tonight, but now I'm like super stressed and did I have a good time? I'm not sure. Whereas, so like kind of our plan was we wanted Swarm to be something where you jump in, it's super intense, but it's fun. And then, you're able to kind of take a breath and go, okay, are we jumping in again and doing this? Or what strategy do we want to try? Because we found that what's really fun with PvP, at least in my opinion, is taking on the role of the Ridden. Like, you spend so much time in PvE, those stupid tall boys are coming after you and you're trying to dodge and you're not necessarily able to. Well, then the tables have turned and you get to have some fun and see what it feels like to be like Ridden like that. And so we wanted to fulfill that fantasy and do it in such a way that it wasn't like a total slog or very long. And now I recognize some people are into the longer PvP sessions. We just didn't find that it made sense for us or felt right for us in our game.
And those PvE sessions could go on for a really long time as well.
Oh,
if you've got a great
you can
team
keep going as long as you want. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But the nice thing is we do have a checkpoint system where you can pop out and then resume it if you want to keep going. So no pressure.
Yes, that was something that we didn't realize because we were having trouble even. I think Major Nelson put the difficulty up because we were having quite a time. And then when I played the other one, I'm like, oh, from here after the ship. That's great. You also see the title sequence there. And the fact that we did not get to the title sequence yesterday is a mark of shame that it's going to take a long time to scrub away. But that's for us to worry about, not for you, Leanne. I want to thank you so much for joining, having just such a great time with Back 4 Blood. It's available now on Xbox Game Pass for console and for PC. Get out there and play it. You see me on there, jump into my game. We'd rather have you than a bot. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to Dave and Lucas, and of course, Leanne. You learned a little bit more about their games here. It's a great job on those interviews, folks. You guys are right on it. It's great to connect with folks, talk about their games, and learn about them, especially when they're on Game Pass. So, thank you.
Yeah, got a text just now from Sid, who runs PlayStation Blog, and he's like, "I just got Back 4 Blood, and so it's got crossplay, so that'll be fun."
So we can be you, me, Rebecca, and Sid.
Yeah, or whomever. But let's keep it going. I want to keep playing this. I want I want to get to the title screen. We can do it. We can beat the prologue.
All right, we're gonna wrap up things in a little bit, but we usually cover the news, and I know Jeff, you've got some news, and Rebecca. So Rebecca, why don't we start with you because you've got some fun news from the Minecraft world, right?
Yeah, so this is actually the busiest week out of the year for the Minecraft team. On Saturday, October 16th, we have the Minecraft Live broadcast taking place. This is our one big annual community event where we kind of look back at the last year of Minecraft content with our community leaders, influencers, artists, things like that. But then we also look ahead at what's to come. So obviously we have Caves and Cliffs Part 2 that's coming up pretty soon. We're also going to talk about the next big update to Minecraft and do another vote on one of the new mobs that we're going to add to the game. So if you're curious to learn about what's next in the year of Minecraft, stay tuned. It's going to be October 16th, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. I think that's 5:30 p.m. CEST. And that'll be on the Minecraft YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. But if you want any more information, you could head to minecraft.net to find out.
Of course, if you miss it, it will be available on demand. You can go back and watch it later and enjoy everything they talk about, right?
Yes, of course.
Those votes, I have like a perfect 0% record of voting for the mob that wins. It's like never. But Vegas, if you're setting odds, I'll let you know.
Bet against Jeff.
Bet against Jeff, yeah. I know last year the mob vote got a little bit contentious, but this year we have 3 mobs that are really cool. They all add really unique utility to the game, so we're pretty excited to see which one the community picks and eventually gets implemented. But in other Minecraft news, we kicked off the Spookier Fall event in Minecraft Dungeons this week. So last year we had a seasonal event that we called the Spooky Fall event. So this year it's Spookier Fall event.
We've got some screenshots here that we're showing of Spookier Fall. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I think that was the Phantom Bow. That looks like the Soul Jack-o'-lantern armor. So basically, if you sign into Minecraft Dungeons, there are some different trials that are taking place between now and November 2nd. You can, if you complete the trials, you can get unique and kind of Halloween-y themed items and armor, face mobs in night mode, which is kind of like the hardcore mode. And just as a reminder, Minecraft Dungeons does have cross-platform play across all the different versions, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, you name it. Also recently released on Steam. And there's cross-save enabled as well, as long as you sign in with your Microsoft account. So check it out. Runs until November 2nd. Yeah.
All right, cool. What, Jeff, you got a little bit of news over there on your side as well.
Yeah. While I'm doing that, turn up your mic, Larry. You're a little low, and you're the reason we're here. You're the moneymaker. So, no, we need to hear you.
All right.
So speaking of Halloween, we've partnered. Xbox has partnered with Mac Cosmetics. If you've ever been in the mall, you've probably seen the Mac counter, as I believe they call it. And so we worked with 3 Mac artists did I get that right? To create looks basically for Halloween based on some of our characters. And so one of the artists used Mac Cosmetics to look like Mia from Psychonauts 2, another one to look like Cortana, which is a very bold look. And also one of the artists took on Sea of Thieves and went full on. Actually, it's really cool. So you'll want to check out Xbox Wire. And so to basically inspire you if you want to go for a gaming
look
look
at that Cortana one. Holy cow.
Right? So you don't want to just...
It's pretty intense.
Yeah. Look, I've seen the Master Chief sort of onesies they have for kids. They get Costco and stuff like that. But if you're going to, take on Sea of Thieves, you'll want to look and see, be inspired by the looks and, go all in for it. I think we all have some Halloween, sort of pent up Halloween wanting to go out and dress up and do things like that safely. But
I'll tell you what's interesting.
I feel like you want to talk.
Yeah, no, not only I'm looking at if you go to news.xbox.com, you'll see all of the information there. But what's interesting is, they've all got tutorials as well. So if you want to recreate this look like Jeff was talking about, then you can just go over there. You want to be, I like the Sea of Thieves one. Maybe I should do that.
You gotta grow the facial hair. We've been off camera asking you for a long time.
Well,
want to see gruff Larry. But
Well, what's funny is, and Rebecca, I don't know if you know this because you're out in New York, and I see Jeff a little bit more frequently. Like we got to go out last week, but I actually usually shave this every Wednesday morning because we record the show on Wednesday, and so if you catch me on like a Tuesday, looking pretty rough.
Completely different guy. Completely different guy.
Anyway, but that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that about Mac. Rebecca, you got anything else, or do you have any other news over on that side?
No, I think back to game news with Jeff.
All right, okay, Jeff.
Larry, we need the director. We need the director over here. We got a few more stories. So do you remember the meme when the Xbox Series X was announced? Not the fridge. That was a whole other thing. That some people sort of photoshopped to make the Series X look like SpongeBob. Well, there is no meme we will not lean into, okay? Right. Because now we have revealed some Series X consoles, including a SpongeBob console to celebrate the launch of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, where we had a reveal last week.
Yeah.
And highly recommend you look at the pictures of this. I don't know if you have it handy.
I don't have it handy.
All right, well, the visuals are great. And what's the best part about it, yes, SpongeBob is a square or as a rectangle. That works. The controller is amazing because one of his eyes is the A button and one of his eyes is the right stick. And it just works, Larry. The other one is for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who are, of course, also in the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Leonardo, the leader, I guess you could say, of the Ninja Turtles, the one less tempted by pizza and really staying on task, if I recall correctly.
All right. Hold on a minute.
I can't relate.
There you go.
There we go. The SpongeBob one's phenomenal. I think I saw Axios did a full breakdown of each one. But look at the controller. Look at the eyes. Are like the elements of the controller. That's really it's really good. I do like the bold look of the TMNT one as well.
Now, so I think it's important to point out what these consoles and what they are, and can you buy them? You can't buy them. We're giving them away, right, Jeff?
Yep. So there's a sweepstakes. There's a sweepstakes tweet that's out right now. You can enter now if you're hearing this all the way up through 8 p.m. Pacific time on October 24th. Just look for it on @Xbox. It might be pinned. It's got a lot of retweets and a lot of likes, and Jake Baldino called it SpongeBox, which is he's a smart guy. So big fan of Jake, actually, the guy from GameRacks. Anyway, does the before you buys. He sold me on Metroid. I'm gonna get Metroid Dread because of him. Okay. Game that actually got tremendously great ratings, but is new to Xbox. It was Game of the Year on PC. I want to say 2019. Disco Elysium. Just want to call out that's available now for $39.99. It has won so many awards. I'm very interested in checking it out. It's a sort of a zoomed out RPG, but not like a JRPG, not like a typical. I don't know how much combat takes place in this. It just looks really interesting. Watch the trailer. It got enough awards that alone is enough for me to give this one a try. Hopefully can talk about it next week. And lastly, our next big release that we've announced coming to Xbox Game Pass is Age of Empires 4. And of course, known for its campaign and multiplayer. Scared to play multiplayer. I'll be playing the campaign. The achievements are out. So I'm already starting to plan what I'm going to be able to accomplish, and sort of gives you an idea of how many different civilizations are in the game, from the Mongols to the Russians to the Holy Roman Empire, which you'd expect, the Delhi Sultanate, Chinese. There's a Chinese class or age that you can play through. There's just a ton here. So I was having fun looking at that, plotting out which ones I'm going to try to get because that comes out on October 28th.
Thank you for giving us an update on Age. That's a game that has a massive following.
It's older than Xbox. Yeah. It's almost 25 years since the first one.
We say quarter of a century. If you put it like that, you're like, wow, that's a long time. Quarter of a century.
That works, Tim.
Okay, that's fun. That's fun. I'm sorry. I'm still giggling at the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawls. I've got those consoles up here.
It's genius. Good luck winning it. I don't think I'll ever see it in person because there can't be too many of them out there. Look at that.
By the way, I want to point something out, and I'm sorry, Jeff. Do you have anything more? Because I have a little bit of something to talk.
No,
Okay.
of course not.
There was a little bit of concern a couple weeks ago because I've got my console back here that it was too close to the edge. Do you remember seeing that in the comments in the YouTube comments?
Yeah, I
Another
saw those
people
comments.
commented.
So I just want to let you know that I had to move it over. I don't remember why I had to move it over. So it was teetering precariously on the edge, but I have since pulled it back along with my Psychonauts goggles there. But I just want to let you know that we've avoided a crisis. So
The nation exhales.
Yeah.
so close. Anyway, all right, gang. We've got some more work to do in our regular jobs. This is not our regular job. This is kind of, Rebecca has her job. She's working on the Minecraft team and with influencers. Jeff has his job working with all influencers and a bunch of other stuff as well. So, and then I've got my regular job, which I don't really know what it is.
Which is what exactly?
Yeah, this is your regular job.
But we've got to get into our regular job. I appreciate the fact that Jeff and Rebecca, you guys find time out of your busy week to come in here and, obviously help out with the interviews and other things. But I just want to thank you because I know that, this is not like extra. I don't pay you extra for this. So thank you for coming in here and helping talk to the community because I know they enjoy.
That is a good idea, though.
It is.
You getting paid? Like, was that on the table?
Well, it's funny because if Rebecca, if you lived out here, then I would come to your house and help you with your home network, and I do all those on-call stuff that I go over to Jeff's house. But
True.
although I will be honest with you, I have zero problem coming to New York and helping you out over there. I'm itching to get back out on the road. Jeff and I haven't been out on the road in quite some time, right? Well, you haven't either, so it's fun. So anyway. All right. Well, that's the show for this week. You can follow us on the social media accounts there. You're going to see right at the bottom of the screen. If you want to follow us, we'd love for you to do that. Also, as Jeff likes to say, like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Give us the feedback on Spotify and Apple and Google, wherever you listen and/or watch the show. Do you guys have any final words before we wrap up?
Minecraft Live, October 16th.
Minecraft
8:30 a.m. Pacific. Check it
That's-
out.
There you go. That's
Please vote for whatever mob I vote for. Help me have happiness.
help him break the streak. So anyway, all right, everybody. We'll see you guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.